Because I'm such a great public speaker, I have to drink a lot of water. Now, I do a lot of talks. Everywhere I go, I try and bring humor. I try and be irreverent about something which is profound and which is ugly, which is poverty and social inequality. But I try and use humor because there are too many earnest, well-intentioned people out there who put ordinary people off of discussing poverty because they're too anal. I may be anal, but I'm anal in a different way. Oops, sorry, that was a joke. Anyway, so here I am, John Bird. I come from London. I'll just give you a thumbnail sketch of who I am. I'm a 67-year-old young father. I have a 7-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 34-year-old, a 38-year-old, and a 47-year-old. And here, look, I'm perfectly formed. Something is working. Anyway, come from London, born just after the Second World War, in a slummy part of London, into poverty, into racism, where I was a devout Catholic, but I was also a devout racist, taught to not like black people and Indians and Jews and Chinese people. And it took me a long time to get out of it. And when I got out of it at the age of 21, by having gone through poverty, through homelessness, through prison, through sleeping on the streets, and when I got out of it and became a Marxist, Leninist, Engelist, Trotskyist at the age of 21, hiding from the police in Paris, I then felt that the world was my oyster because I got rid of all that horrible imperialism and went, boom, the other way. Anyway, I became a printer. I started to pay taxes in my 30s, having cost the state a lot of money. And in my 30s, I eventually started a business and I became a printer. When I was 45, so all you young people, you've got a long time, you've got a lot of opportunity to screw up. So take those risks, children. Sorry, not children, whatever you call yourself. Take those bloody risks, because you can always, at 67, start again, like I have, and I'm about to describe my new renaissance. Anyway, so I went through all of this. I became a printer. I started to do all sorts of things. I left politics because they were always talking about bringing social change to the poor after the revolution. I thought, well, what am I going to do while I'm here? Anyway, so it didn't happen. And I left. When I was about 40, I re-met an old friend of mine who the last time I'd seen, I was sleeping rough in Edinburgh. And I met this guy with a very big nose, a Scotsman, and I let him buy me loads of drink. I was very kind to him. I met him 20 years later, and he was a multi-millionaire. Do you know what they are? People with a shed load of money. Him and his wife, Anita Roddick, had started the Body Shop. Wonderful woman. Gordon was my friend. I always say, and you have to be very, very principled when you meet people with a lot of money. And the first principle is stick with them. Tell them if they write poetry that it's the best poetry that's ever been written. It's up there with Byron or whatever. So I met this guy with a lot of money, and I was one of those persons who still hadn't found a purpose in life other than be irritable and get arrested by the police for being drunk at the weekend and in the week as well. Just given up. So what happened was Gordon and I started this big issue. If I fall, who shall I fall on? That young man there, yes. Will you catch me? He will, good me. So we started a street paper based on an American idea called Street News. And we started a street paper called The Big Issue. And it sells millions and millions of copies a year. And it's all based on my simple life. And that is that when I got into a position where I could earn money so that if I was wanting to drink or do something like that or put it up my nose, I didn't have to harm anybody. I didn't have to rob anybody to do it. So what happened was I was in this unique position of being able to start a street paper and say to the poor, if you've got bad problems because you have harmed yourself and all that, then don't harm anybody else. Sell the paper, and the money that you make, you can do what you want with. Because most of the people who are taking drugs are not out of work. They're working in the City of London, and they're working in Wall Street. We've only got to look at those films about them. Anyway, so we came up with this idea of a hand up, not a hand out. Therefore, we invented a business where the poorest could trade and could earn money rather than resorting to crime. That doesn't mean to say that all of them are criminal, because that's not true. And it was all based on my own experience. I went to work in America. I've only got 19 minutes. I come all of this way, and does that mean I've got 14 minutes left, or does that mean I've used 14 minutes? Come on, what does it mean? Have I got 14 minutes left, or? I've got 4, yes, sir. I think I should have an hour. Anyway, I went to work in America because I got really worn out in the UK. And I started this business called Social Brokers. And Social Brokers was a very simple thing. I wish I'd had 1,000 of these that I could give out to you. And it says, the world is full of big questions. Everybody, there's big questions. The world is also full of big answers. And the problem is, they don't always meet. So we invented this. The problem is that we often get to know about the questions, but not about the answers, etc. And there is, in the middle, is a map with the word answer in all the languages. So you've got it in Chinese there. The world is full of answers. And we started this social brokering, and we're building a website magazine so that we want to find your answer. And we want to oxygenate it. We want to blow smoke up it so that it goes up in the air, and other people. We want you, if you've got a problem, we want to be able to introduce you to the solution, put you together, maybe help find the money. So that's the kind of area. So we started off selling papers, and now we've moved into prevention. 10 years ago, we started something called the Big Issue Invest. We've put about £30 million of other people's money, rich people's money. Stick with the rich. The gilt money, sorry, not the gilt money, the rich money. Anyway, take the money, and we've invested in 162 businesses, social enterprises, even charities, all over the UK, who are all about prevention. It's great being able to be clever. It's great being a doctor and clearing up some mess which has been made on somebody who's dying, but wouldn't it be better of preventing that person from getting there? Prevention is always the best cure. Anyway, so what we did was we've invested 162 businesses, and we relate to about 4.5 million people. We've created about 35,000 jobs in these sectors by investing in these social businesses. And that is the most wonderful way of working. So if you've got an idea, we want to know about it. So we will oxygenate it through the big answer, and we will, if we can get the funding, we'll get you the funding. If we can. If we can't, we won't do it. Most of the ideas that come to us are crap. That's a very old-fashioned English word. It's a technical term. And the reason it's crap, because a lot of people say, oh, I really want to help the poor, and I want to help the homeless. And every time I see a poor person,